Have you ever felt lost, unsure which path to take, or how to deal with life's challenges? What if I told you that there's a treasure trove of ancient wisdom that can transform the way you think and act, even on your toughest days? Today, we'll dive into the most powerful teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, the ancient Hindu scripture, and discover how to apply them to your life right now. But before we begin, let me know in the comments if you have the strength to change your life. If the answer is yes, right, I can change, and stay with me until the end, because what you're about to learn might mark the beginning of a new journey of peace and clarity for you. 1. Detachment. Do your best and let go of the results. Imagine planting a seed in a garden. You water it, tend the soil, and protect it from storms. But in the end, you can't control when or how it will grow. This is exactly what the Bhagavad Gita teaches us about life. You have the right to perform your duties, but never to the fruits of your actions. Chapter 2, verse 47. Now take a moment to reflect. How many times have you been trapped in the anxiety of achieving a specific outcome? It could be landing your dream job, finding the perfect relationship, or even overcoming financial challenges. It's natural to want everything to work out, but our biggest mistake is tying our self-worth to the success we achieve. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains to Arjuna that true peace comes when we act with devotion and detachment. This doesn't mean giving up or being passive. On the contrary, it means putting your heart and soul into what you do, while accepting that the final result isn't entirely under your control, and that is liberating. Detachment is not apathy. It's not about not caring. It's about working hard, giving your best, but letting go of the weight of what if. There are practical ways to incorporate this teaching into your life. Instead of setting rigid expectations, focus on your intentions. For example, if you're looking for a job, your intention is clear: to find something aligned with your purpose and skills. However, free yourself from the idea that only one specific company or outcome will be the perfect solution. When you focus on the process, improving your skills, building connections, and preparing yourself, you naturally create better opportunities. What happens doesn't always make sense in the moment. Perhaps you missed an opportunity that seemed perfect, but months later, you realize it made room for something much better. Detachment is about trusting that the universe has a greater plan, and that what seems like failure is often a necessary detour for your growth. Psychology studies show that anxiety often arises when we focus too much on the future. The practice of mindfulness, which also has roots in Eastern philosophies like Hinduism, helps us return to the present moment. Pause and ask yourself, what can I do right now in this moment to improve my situation? Science confirms that detachment is a powerful tool for mental health. Positive psychology research reveals that people who practice emotional detachment tend to have lower stress levels and greater well-being. This is because they are less likely to blame themselves for negative outcomes or excessively worry about things beyond their control. A study published in the Journal of Happiness Studies showed that practicing detachment, letting go of the need for absolute control over the future, is associated with higher levels of happiness and satisfaction. The study also found that people who act with intention but without attachment to the result are more resilient in the face of failures and more likely to try again. There comes a moment when you simply need to let go. Letting go is not giving up. It's recognizing that the universe is working in your favor. Imagine a trapeze artist who must release one bar to grab the next. They trust their preparation, timing, and momentum. They can't grab the next step without releasing the previous one. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us that detachment makes us free. Free from the fear of failure. Free from the obsession with success. Free to live in the present moment. Free to give your best without carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Ask yourself, am I holding on to something that's beyond my control? It could be a job that didn't work out, a relationship that ended, or a dream that feels far away. Whatever it is, take a deep breath and say to yourself, I will do my best and leave the rest in the hands of the universe. Because in the end, it's not the outcome that defines who you are, but the heart you put into every action. Remember, detachment is not the end of effort, it's the beginning of freedom. 2. Mastering the mind, the secret to inner peace. Allow me to start with a simple but powerful truth. Your mind is both your greatest ally and your worst enemy. The Bhagavad Gita teaches us that to find inner peace and balance, we must master the mind, because an uncontrolled mind turns our lives into a battlefield. But how can we achieve this in practice in such a chaotic world? Think for a moment. How often have you been consumed by thoughts of worry, guilt, or anger? How many nights have you lost sleep replaying things that went wrong or imagining situations that never even happened? Modern science confirms what the Gita taught thousands of years ago. Studies show that an agitated mind activates the fight or flight system, releasing hormones like cortisol, which cause stress, anxiety, and even physical illness. But here's the good news. Mastering the mind is possible, and it begins with you. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, the mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. One who has mastered the mind finds peace. One who lets it run wild lives in torment. This teaching reminds us that while we can't control everything that happens around us, we can control how we respond to it. When negative thoughts arise, and they always will, don't fight them. Recognize them, accept them, and ask yourself, does this thought serve me? Is it aligned with who I want to be? Practical example. Let's say you're struggling with debt or you've lost your job. Naturally, despair and fear begin to take over your mind. Here's the exercise. Take a deep breath and focus on the present moment. Ask yourself, what can I do right now in this moment to begin addressing this? Remember, it's not the thought itself that causes suffering, but your identification with it. The Bhagavad Gita highlights that pranayama, control of the breath, is a powerful tool to calm the mind. Science backs this up. Studies published in journals like Frontiers in Psychology show that slow, mindful breathing reduces activity in the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and anxiety. Recommended practice. Try the 4-4-4-4 breathing technique, also known as box breathing. Inhale for a count of 4, hold your breath for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and keep your lungs empty for another 4 seconds. Do this for 5 minutes in the morning or before facing a challenging situation. You'll notice an immediate sense of calm. Krishna also warns us about attachment to material desires, which agitate the mind and distance us from peace. He says, just as the wind carries a boat off course in the ocean, uncontrolled desires steer a man away from his goal. This doesn't mean you should give up everything or stop wanting to grow in life. Rather, it means learning to differentiate what is essential from what is temporary. Ask yourself, do I truly need this to be happy? Or am I just trying to fill a void? Many people feel trapped by social media, comparing their lives to others. Every like you chase is an attempt at external validation, but it is as fleeting as sand slipping through your fingers. Instead, focus on what brings you true and lasting joy. Perhaps it's spending more time with family, learning something new, or helping someone in need. Krishna teaches us to be the masters of the mind, not its slaves. Imagine your mind as a wild horse. If you let go of the reins, it will run aimlessly, creating chaos. But if you hold the reins firmly, it will guide you to the right destination. Here's the secret. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them. When you notice your mind racing, pause and observe. Picture yourself as someone watching a movie. You are not the characters. You are the one watching. This simple practice creates space between you and your emotions, allowing you to respond instead of reacting impulsively. One of the most effective ways to transform the mind is through gratitude. When you start to appreciate the simple things, like the air you breathe, the food on your table, or even a smile you received, your mind shifts from a state of scarcity to one of abundance. Neuroscience confirms that practicing gratitude increases dopamine and serotonin levels, the happiness hormones. Before you go to bed, write down 3 things you are grateful for. It could be something small, like the taste of your morning coffee, or a meaningful conversation you had. Do this for 21 consecutive days and watch how your perspective on life begins to change. Mastering the mind isn't something that happens overnight. It's a journey that requires discipline, patience, and self-love. You don't have to be perfect. All you need is to take one step at a time. Remember, you have the power to change your life, starting with mastering your mind. Let the Bhagavad Gita be your guide and see how it can transform chaos into clarity, despair into hope, and confusion into inner peace. 3. Dharma, discover your true purpose. The concept of Dharma in the Bhagavad Gita is one of the most powerful and transformative lessons you can apply to your life, especially if you feel lost or without direction. Dharma is not just a duty or responsibility. It is the essence of your life's purpose, the reason you exist. Discovering your Dharma can be the key to bringing clarity, peace, and fulfillment to your journey. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches Arjuna that each of us has a unique role in this world, an inner truth that only we can live out. And here's the beauty of it. No matter where you are or how lost you feel, Your Dharma is within you, waiting to be recognized and manifested. Many people live their entire lives without connecting to their true purpose. They follow societal expectations, seek external validation, or try to fill a void with material achievements. But Dharma isn't about pleasing others or choosing the easiest path. It requires you to look within and ask, what truly moves me? What makes me feel alive? What can I uniquely offer to the world? Discovering your Dharma begins with a process of self-awareness. This can be challenging but also liberating. Modern studies in positive psychology, such as those by Dr. Martin Seligman, show that when we live in alignment with our deepest values and unique strengths, we experience greater satisfaction and happiness in life. This is precisely what the concept of Dharma teaches us, aligning who you are with what you do in the world. If you are seeking change, start small. Take a moment to reflect on your life, your choices, and your deepest desires. Ask yourself, what do I naturally do well? What brings me joy even when it's challenging? How can I use this to benefit others? These questions are not just mental exercises. They are invitations to access your own truth. And remember, living your Dharma doesn't mean you won't face challenges. In the Gita, Krishna makes it clear that the path of purpose is not always easy, but it is essential. Sometimes, making a decision aligned with your Dharma means leaving behind what is familiar or comfortable, but it is in that courage that transformation takes place. If you find yourself at a crossroads now, perhaps this is your opportunity to embrace your Dharma, not as an obligation, but as a calling to live an authentic and meaningful life. Start by listening to your intuition, practicing self-compassion, and trusting that every step you take toward your purpose will be guided by something greater. The Bhagavad Gita reminds us that the world needs you exactly as you are, with your gifts, talents, and even your imperfections. Because when you live your Dharma, you not only transform your own life, but also deeply impact the world around you. So take a deep breath, trust yourself, and take the next step. The universe is waiting for you. 4. Selfless action. Serve without expecting rewards. Selfless action, as taught in the Bhagavad Gita, is one of the most transformative paths to a fulfilled life. In this sacred text, Krishna teaches Arjuna that we must act without attachment to the fruits of our actions, serving others with purity of heart and expecting nothing in return. And you might be wondering, how can this change my life, especially now, when everything feels so difficult? The truth is that the practice of altruism holds immense power, supported not only by ancient wisdom, but also by modern studies. Science has shown that helping others can bring profound benefits to our mental health. A study conducted by the University of Exeter found that people who dedicate their time to volunteer activities report lower levels of depression, anxiety, and stress. Additionally, this habit is associated with an increased sense of purpose and happiness. In other words, by giving something to the world, you're not just helping another person, you're healing yourself. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna reminds us that acting with altruism is a way to connect with the divine. This is because in serving others, we recognize that divinity resides in every being. When you reach out to help someone, you align yourself with a greater truth, that we are all interconnected. This realization can be the key to breaking free from cycles of dissatisfaction and suffering. Often we feel trapped because we are focused solely on our own pain. But by looking outward and serving, we gain a new perspective. And don't think altruism has to be something grand. It's not about changing the entire world at once, but starting with small acts. It could be listening to someone who needs to vent, preparing a meal for someone in need, or even donating something you no longer use. Each gesture, no matter how small it seems, is filled with meaning when done with intention and love. One reason why altruism is so powerful is that it breaks the cycle of ego. So often, our anguish stems from constant worry about me, my problems, my flaws, my unmet expectations. But by acting selflessly, we step out of that cycle and open ourselves to something greater. It's as if we're telling the universe, I trust. I am here to serve and do my part. And the universe responds. This shift in focus frees us from our worries and places us in a state of flow and gratitude. If you feel your life is stagnant or meaningless, try giving. Give of yourself without expectations. This doesn't mean ignoring your own needs or sacrificing beyond your limits. It's about finding balance and realizing that in helping others, you're also helping yourself. Science calls this the paradox of altruism, where focusing on others ultimately strengthens us. Don't worry if, at first, it feels like you're forcing it. That's normal. Acting without expecting something in return might seem counterintuitive in a world where everything appears to be transactional. But over time, you'll notice that the act of giving becomes natural. It's like lighting a flame within yourself that illuminates both others and yourself. Life doesn't need to be perfect for you to start serving. Even amidst your own struggles, there's something you can offer, and in doing so, you'll find your own pain begins to dissolve, like clouds parting to reveal a clear sky. When you act with altruism, you're connecting with the essence of life, a constant flow of giving and receiving, of energy and love. So I challenge you, give it a try. Take a small step today. Look around and ask yourself, what can I do right now to help someone? It doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be grand. Just do it, and trust that by acting without expecting anything in return, you'll be opening doors to a transformation far greater than you can imagine. This is the true power of altruism as taught in the Bhagavad Gita, a transformation from the inside out, sparked by a single act and spreading like a wave of light, touching not just the world, but your heart as well. 5. Equanimity. Remain steady amid chaos. Equanimity is one of the most powerful virtues taught in the Bhagavad Gita. It's the ability to remain unshaken, no matter the inevitable highs and lows life brings. This state of balance isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about deeply understanding that both success and failure, pleasure and pain, are part of the same divine dance. Just as ocean waves come and go, life's experiences pass too. True wisdom lies in learning to surf these waves with serenity. Imagine your life as a scale. On one side, you place all the joys, achievements, and happy moments. On the other, the pain, losses, and challenges. If you cling too tightly to the happy moments, you'll live in constant anxiety, fearing their loss. If you sink into the pain, you'll be trapped in a cycle of sorrow. Equanimity, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, is finding the balance between these extremes, allowing you to live fully without being ruled by either. In practice, cultivating equanimity requires deep inner work. Modern studies in psychology and neuroscience show that our reactions to external events are largely influenced by our internal mental state. For example, the University of California conducted research on mindfulness, a practice aligned with the Hindu concept of self-observation, and found that people who train their minds to observe emotions without reacting impulsively develop greater resilience and emotional well-being. In other words, science is beginning to validate what the Bhagavad Gita has taught for thousands of years. How can we cultivate equanimity in real life? Start by recognizing that you can't control the world around you, but you can control how you respond to it. Losing a job, facing a breakup, or dealing with criticism might seem devastating at first. However, if you look closely, each situation offers an opportunity for growth. Losing a job can open doors to a path more aligned with your purpose. A breakup can teach self-sufficiency and self-love. Criticism can be an opportunity to strengthen your inner confidence. A powerful lesson in the Bhagavad Gita applies here. The man who is undisturbed by suffering and not overly excited by happiness is truly wise. When you face life with equanimity, you're not denying or avoiding your emotions. On the contrary, you embrace them, feel them deeply, and then let them go. It's like holding a bird in your hand, firm enough to prevent it from escaping, but gentle enough not to harm it. A practical example can be found in people who experience personal loss, like grieving a loved one. Many stories reveal that after the initial pain, those who adopt a mindset of acceptance can transform their loss into a moment of profound reflection, finding strength to live with greater purpose and gratitude. It's not easy, but it's possible, and equanimity is the way forward. If you're reading this now, you might be going through a turbulent time in your life. Maybe you've lost something or someone important, or perhaps you feel like you're at a dead end. What I want to tell you is that you are not alone. Life can feel overwhelming, but within you lies the power to find balance amidst the chaos. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and say to yourself, I am greater than any circumstance. This too shall pass. Repeat it as many times as necessary until this truth resonates in your heart. Remember, equanimity doesn't mean you'll never feel sadness, frustration, or anger. These feelings are natural and part of being human. But instead of letting them control you, you can choose to observe them like clouds in the sky, knowing that the blue sky of your awareness remains untouched behind them. This is the transformation the Bhagavad Gita offers. This is the promise of a life lived with balance, strength, and purpose. And you are fully capable of achieving it. The change begins now, within you.